Alright, I'm not saying I'm number one. Oops, I'm sorry, I lied. I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Stop wasting your money on marketing schemes and pretty packages pushing dreams to the beams. A dope MC is a dope MC. With or without a record deal, all can see. And that's who KRS be, son. I'm not a run from the mill, because from the mill I don't run. I'm just messing, that's not the same program as this. This is the Pro-Black Perspective on KWAZ Radio. And of course, this is the weekly Warship. I'm thinking I should probably start off with some music, and so who better to do the music than me? No, I'm just messing. That was of course Step Into Our World by KRS-One. It's a classic song. But let's get into the weekly Warship. Alright, so this is December. This is the second week of December. The second Sunday of December. And of course, we have in our weekly Warship. And this is going to be, for the second week, we're going to do Ancient Ancestors. So this right here, Ancient Ancestors, is the book you should be reading every Tuesday. Alright? Every Tuesday. If you're following the 7-day week, read this every Tuesday. Alright? But for now, we're going to finish off the book because it's December. And we're going like 1/12 of the book all the way. And before I continue, just want to say, of course, well, besides from, check out the KWAZ Radio network, I also want you to remember that you can sign up for this program, this organization we're doing in January. All right? And yeah, don't worry, I'll probably stop doing music. But we're doing this thing in January. Well, we want to do this thing in January. Just need some folk to sign up so that we can get that moving. And of course, the first week that we do it, it's going to be one of these books. I believe it's Greatest Orators. So that's going to be something to check out. But let's get started into the program, which is going to be reading page 66. So you have a copy in front of you. All right, you have a copy in front of you, and that's going to be what I'd like you to look into. So look here. Trade is not something imaginary or descriptive, but something real and profitable. And of course, these are the ancient African, these are our ancestors. This is our ancestral wisdom, okay? So this one might not be ancient, but it's something that we as a people understood. And this goes back to what I was talking to you about wealth building. In wealth building, you have to realize that when you're trading, that trade is what brings profit. Okay? As a people, that means that you have to have either a product or a service, and you exchange it for something. Okay? It's the exchange that makes the profit. Alright? Like if I do a service for you, let's say if I teach your child mathematics, right? Or if I teach you mathematics, right? Then I use my time, right, and my expertise, and I give that time and expertise to you or your child, and in exchange, you give me some sort of form of currency that I can use, right? That's it. It's not something imaginary or descriptive. It's not, it's not, I could tutor, and like that's just it, right? Trade is something that is real, something that happens, that I actually put the time in to tutor, and then I actually get the profit. And the same way that because you wanted this expertise or this time, you profited too. So I'm saying trade is something that's mutually profitable. And this is something that we're not even engaging in as a people, and that's partly why we're falling behind economically speaking. Because one of the things that we have to realize too is that as we talk about how everybody else is keeping us impoverished, right? As we talk about how we're broke and we have blah blah blah, we're poor, blah blah blah, we have to ask ourselves, are we even trading among ourselves? A lot of times when they talk about Africa, they say, African nations need to trade among themselves, right? But we, even as African people, don't trade among ourselves. You understand? And it's like, why would you expect the nation to go where the people go? Why would there be a custom of nations engaging better than their people themselves do. And this kind of goes into one of those philosophical questions, which is namely that, sometimes nations are comprised of people. And they follow the direction of the people. I'm not saying that that's always going to be the case. I believe that, realistically speaking, you want your nation to act better than the people, that's for sure. But it behooves us to not, in the same sense, be a people who engage in trade among ourselves, mutually beneficial trade, and in not doing that, that's where we don't get what we need to get. It's like now that I'm engaging in some of this let's say stock market, right? Let's say I'm engaging in the stock market and stuff like that, right? By trading, when I sit back and don't do anything, right? Or when I describe it, or I imagine I'm in the stock market and I'm doing all that stuff, there's nothing coming about. There's nothing trading there. There's no movement. There's nothing, right? When I go in and I buy a stock and I sell a stock, that's where the trade is. That's where that's where it's profitable or not profitable. You understand? And that's really what it comes back to. So I want you to explore and consider that the reality that what you have to engage in what you're doing, if you really want to talk about black economics, you have to talk about black trade. It's not just saying, oh, let's support black business. It's about going out there and getting what you need from black businesses. I seen actually recently this one sister, apparently the pandemic hit, and so now they're raising money to stay afloat. Now some people are just going to give them money, right? And that's fine if that's what you want to do, right? But other people are like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to shop there. And that's actually probably the bigger, the more important activity to do. But all the same, you can't just say, oh yeah, some people, like I said, and I put this in the Discord. So as I said, join the Discord. You can see more dialogue, discussion. But and it's not too much more, but still it's more, right? But what you see is that black folk will say, oh man, you see, the government gave everybody else some COVID relief, and they gave McDonald's COVID relief, or they didn't give this lady COVID relief, or whatever, or COVID is or oh man, I wish somebody could help her, and somebody donate to this. It's unreal, and it's unprofitable. Now, of course, you can say, well, I'm just sharing and all that stuff. It's still imaginary, descriptive, because the reality is that unless you share with the right people, unless you share with the people who believe in the real and the profitable, nothing's going to come from it. So yeah, trade is not something imaginary. Trade is not something descriptive. Trade is real, and that's what we have to start engaging in. Real trade, real profitable trade. Let's see. One expected to show fidelity and loyalty to one's people. So this is actually another thing that's beautiful of our people. But here's another thing that I want to say. This is like our ancestors. Like I said, this is our ancestors, our ancestral wisdom. And they're saying that you're expected to show fidelity and loyalty to one's people. However, it behooves us to not know who our people are. You understand? Because see, the trouble is this, that we tend to just say black, 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 African, 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 and think that's enough. I've already told you, in fact, I think it was just the other day, I told you that a lot of your people, or a lot of our people, or a lot of people who identify with us, or who might identify with us, are unorganized, unfocused, undisciplined, paranoid. I didn't say that last time, but they are paranoid. Broke and psychopathic. Okay? That's not your people. If that's your people, there's something wrong with you. You should not have those as your people. Your people should be. That's why I laid out this book. In the book, I talk about actually in the Pro-Black Compendium, if you didn't get that one, you should already have it, right? But in all the books, I kind of talk about the difference between an Ascati and an Ancobia. Okay? The Ascati are what you would call race traders. Okay? there are other groups as well. There are the activists and the astute, but for the most part, the point being that the only group of Africans that you really want to be have fidelity to and loyalty to would be the Sankofa. Okay, because you want Africans who are learned, you want Africans who are organized, disciplined, focused. You want that. I keep telling you. I keep telling you that there's a difference between those who walk with our ancestors. No, those who walk beside our ancestors and those who walk behind white people. Okay? And a lot of quote unquote black people walk behind white people. I was just on my social media just 2 seconds ago, and I saw somebody talking about how they're discussing. So essentially, in the United States, there's this the president-elect, right? So the person who's supposed to be president next year is this guy named Joe Biden. All right, and he has a wife, and his wife has a PhD, so she goes by the name Doctor, like Dr. Biden, right? And so some people are just talking about why are you saying you're a doctor? Why are you saying you're Dr. Biden when you're not an MD? Now, of course, somebody needs to talk to Dr. Umar Johnson or Dr. Clark or Dr. Ben, whatever. But the point being that, obviously you can say doctor without being an MD. All the same, that got nothing to do with us. But all through the social media, right? And I mean, you might be like, hey, Oni, didn't you just say the same thing? Yeah, I'm trying to report to you. This is called reporting, right? But all through the social media, everybody and their mama talking about, oh, well, you can call yourself a doctor if you following behind this white person, because this got nothing to do with us as a people. This got nothing to do with the foci that I tell you that you're supposed to be focusing on, which is, Uncle Jaseneb, or life, wealth, and health. Got nothing to do with your life, wealth, or health. Nothing. But I tell you, our people are, and when I say they bring it up, they bring it up. Now they're not bringing it up in the podcast. Maybe they are. I don't know. I don't listen to them. But they, so you might fault me on that. But I'm just saying, like, I just see, retweet, tweet, retweet, tweet. Then the next thing the white person talk about, retweet, tweet, comment, retweet, tweet, comment, emoji, and it's just like, this is, and it's nothing has to do with what you can change. You can't change whether Dr. Umar Johnson calls himself Dr. Umar Johnson or not. You can't change whether his doctorate represents whether he's an MD or not. You can't change a lot of things. You could just change your life, your wealth, and your health. And instead of focusing on that and us building ourselves and trading along those lines, we are engaging and following this white boy on the distractions, calling ourselves undistracted. And then here's what you're doing. You should not call these your people. Okay? You shouldn't have fidelity or loyalty to them because they are wasting their time, wasting their life, right? And personally, what I'm thinking is that sometimes I mute them. Sometimes I mute them, sometimes I block them, sometimes I unmute them, I look at them and I'm like, you know what, time is ticking for me to mute them again. But you got to realize that, there's signal and there's noise. Like when I used to do astrophysics, if you look up into the stars, right? Like basically, let me say it this way. Okay? If you look in any direction, right? You look up in the sky, any direction, there's a star in that direction. Okay? There's a star in whatever direction you look. Okay? But some stars are closer than others. Right? So when you put up a telescope, you have to leave it there and let it collect these photons from that star in the distance, right? And so you're going to get stars from way behind the star. You're going to get stars from behind the star that you're trying to look at, right? So that's just going to be the noise. You're going to get stars right beside the star that you're looking at, all right? Whatever. That's just going to be noise. The signal is the star you're looking at, okay? So that's what, the star that you're trying to focus on. So even when you're on social media, when you're going through life, you have to understand that you're supposed to practice the same thing and understand that there is noise around you, and there's a signal. Now the signal is telling you. I'm talking to you right now. That's one of the signals. I'm telling you what I'm telling you what you could read. I'm telling you what you could do. I'm telling you where you could organize. Those are the signals you're supposed to be following. All right. Some people not telling you. Some people are just telling you, oh man, and Biden is putting in this, this person in the like, who cares? You can't do nothing about that. And like, why would you even want to? You understand? Like the reality is this. Like some people telling you, oh man, all black people, blah blah blah. See, you have to understand there are statistics. And there's you. And you don't gotta follow the statistics. Like I said, you could go invest some money. Right? Let's say $300. You invest $300. If you do it intelligently, you could walk out with $3,000. Okay, if you do it intelligently. Now it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be difficult, it's gonna be laborious, but it could happen. Alright? It could happen. See, I don't want to tell y'all nothing, really, because I know the IRS listening. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to tell y'all nothing because the IRS is going to say, wait a second, Odie, hold on a second. Didn't you put $300 in? Okay, wait, didn't you come out with $3,000? Oh, okay. Well, we'll fork up $1,000, right? They're going to tell me 30%, right? I mean, not really, that's small fry. That's small fry money. But I don't say nothing. I'm not going to say nothing because I know IRS listening. But you should be listening too. Okay? You should be listening too. I'm telling you, come through, click on the Discord link, subscribe. Some of y'all not even subscribing. Follow the podcast. Share the podcast. You already know. I shouldn't have to tell you that. Shout out, drop some of them likes. If you ain't dropped it already. Now let's go to page 68. Let's turn to the next one. This is important right here. You already know this is important. This is the ancestors talking. This ain't me. It's not me in this lifetime. This is me back in the day, all right? Or this is one of you. This could be you. I don't know. But look, it says kill a war. Matter of fact, no. I shouldn't even say this could be you or me. This was us. Because this is the proverb. This is like we was repeating this. We didn't just say it once. We was repeating this. Okay? So we as a people collectively repeated this. And now you don't know what I'm talking about. But look, kill a warrior during skirmishes at home. You'll remember the warrior when fighting enemies. You hear that? That means that in the practice fights, right? In the non-serious fights, you take a life. Or maybe you don't go as far as take a life, but you know damn well that you could take the life if you just finished, right? And then you remember the warrior when fighting enemies. And this is the truth. I'll tell you this, man. One time when I was young, I keep telling, I might have told you this guys already, but this is actually a story that stuck with me. And like I said, when you, and I'm not gonna say, yeah, hold on. On preface, no, the person didn't die, right? But I remember like when I was younger, my brother, he was just trying to disrespect me in front of our neighbor, right? And so I got behind him and just started choking him, okay? Like headlock. And the dude, and like, I only stopped because if I didn't, he would have died. You understand? But I remember that, the frailty of human, the frailty of man. So to the point where I know I could get behind somebody I don't like and strangle them to death. You understand? Because if I could have done it as a kid, I could do it as an adult. You understand? And like truth, I'm telling you truth, right? Like I said, when I was in university, some white boy was messing with me. I held him against the wall, like, hey, look, you ain't gonna be doing whatever you're doing. That's it. Period. And I knew I could have snapped the dude's neck. And I looked in his face, and he knew it too. That's how you're supposed to live your life. You understand? You're supposed to be practicing skirmishes. You're not supposed to be afraid to get hurt. Now, obviously, I'm not saying, you kill somebody in the practice, in a training room, right? Sometimes, one of the quotes that I guess Balagon, who's like a martial artist, Kupagana and Gumi, practitioner or expert, if you will. What he says is that one of the other proverbs from our ancestors. I don't know if it's in his book or not, so I'm just gonna say it. He says, when an enemy falls on their back. No, I mean, like, wrestling is like a way to try to get an enemy on their back, or pretty much, like basically, if you could get an enemy on their back or behind an enemy and all that kind of stuff, then you won the fight, because obviously that's where you could kill them. And like I said, I understand that when I read that, because I'm just like, yeah, I know I can strangle somebody to death, easy. Or even like when I was younger, that same brother, he used to me and him used to whatever. He was heavy, and he let me know that there was a way to take me down. He let me know a weakness I had in being lightweight. He let me know there was a weakness in that. Let's just put it that way. I don't want sometimes you talk about how you might have lost the fight, and I know this one sister kept reminding me, oh yeah, let me call your brother. Like what? Nah, ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? Like what? Anyway, but the point being, you gotta work on you gotta learn your weaknesses. You gotta learn your weaknesses. You gotta learn your strengths, and then you use that in against your enemy. But you learn your weaknesses and you learn your strengths through actual combat, through actual practice. It's just like in basketball. You don't know if you're a good shooter in basketball. You don't know if you're a good dribbler in basketball. You don't know if you're a good until you actually go on the court and play other people. Because in your head you might be, oh, I'm the dunk master, whatever. But when you get on the court, you realize, oh snap, that's what you're supposed to practice before you get into the real game. Now, unfortunately, our people are mostly doing this principle right here. Kill a warrior during skirmishes. In sports. So we might play against some kid and dunk, like 54 and then we go on to the NBA finals or something. We good, right? But you're supposed to do this in combat. So I would advise that everybody engage in some sort of combat arts. Now sometimes people might say, hey, that's not the case. Somebody who might say, hey, only you don't say that, right? But I'm saying it. All right, I'm saying it. Go get involved, and of course, if you can't, that's fine. I don't mind. At the end of the day, my belief is this: that if you really, if when the time comes for us to engage the enemy, you're gonna have this. You're gonna have these training sessions. Now, like I said, don't necessarily go out and kill your own people. Just because you read this. Think of kill in a sense of dominate, win, or take it to just before they lose their life. I'm just saying this because I know damn well that if I'm on a training session, y'all gonna try to kill me. Y'all gonna really try to kill me. So I'm just saying, look. I done said I did the caveat. I said don't necessarily kill the next person. All right. So that's just there for anybody who might be thinking, to try to use my words against me. All right. So look here. So we're gonna go to page 69, right? So it's where there is the community Jin, leadership. There's the center of the community. Societies, like people, have their hearts. Okay? So this is it. If you don't have community leadership, right? You don't have a community. You follow me? It's like if a person don't have a heart. Like a person really don't have a heart. That's not a person anymore. You know what I'm saying? Right? I'm saying? Yeah, that person dead. You know what I mean? If your community doesn't have leadership, then your community doesn't even exist. And guess what? This is why you have to be a part of community leadership. Because you're sitting right now, because again, this proverb is not from our time. This is from a time where Africans had this. And they're just like, they had their communities. And they're like, really, the heart of our community is our leadership. Right? You understand? This is when people knew this, when they were talking, then they were free. When black folk were free, they were talking like this. Now, I'm telling you what we were saying when we were free. And what we were saying was that part of our freedom was having this leadership. Alright? Part of our freedom was having this leadership. Okay? So that's what it is. You know? You have to realize when you don't have leadership, and if you don't have leadership, you have to engage yourself in being that leadership. That's something that we kind of slip by and mistake. Again, because a lot of the people who you would think would be the leadership are busy saying nothing, complaining about nothing, and doing nothing. No focus. Like I said, that whole, PhD conversation. It got nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with you. So, you have to work towards being the leadership of your community, because if your community does not have a leadership, and most of the times it doesn't, then you don't have a community. And if you don't have a community, you are going to be screwed by people who do. All right? You're going to be screwed by people who do. That's just that. That's just that. Let's go to the next one. So this is page 70. So it says, if you offend, ask for a pardon, and if offended, forgive. This is basically conflict resolution 101. And for those of you who don't know, in the pro-black compendium, you have a list of proverbs that you can read to, deal with conflict resolution. Deal with, let's say you have a bad conflict, right? And you want to deal with it. That's it. This right here is pretty much the summary of how to resolve a conflict, which is basically that if you offend somebody, just ask for a pardon. And if you're offended, then forgive. That's it. And this is, of course, within the community. So within the community, if you offend, just ask for a pardon. And if you are offended, then ask to forgive. Sorry. If you are offended, then just forgive somebody. Okay? Don't make it complicated. Don't say, a lot of us are like, I'm too good to apologize, or I ain't apologize to nobody, right? Screw that noise. All right, screw that noise. If it's the people in your community, just forgive, just ask for a pardon. It's not that serious. Now, obviously, if it is that serious, like if it's something that's unforgivable, right? Then that's different. Or if it's something that's unpardonable, like if you do something unpardonable, right? Then I understand, and this is more so like light scale. It's not like, oh, you done like drove a car through their house, and then you're like, well, can you forgive me? Like what? No, pause on that, right? There's something wrong with you, right? If you're like, oh, I was drinking, I just drove a car through your house. Yeah, that's different. You know what I mean? And no, I'm not saying you forgive that neither. Somebody drinking, they drive a car through your bedroom, destroy your bookshelf and all that. That's like, what the, like, nah, you ain't gonna be, oh, well, it's okay. Have a nice, you could be like that, but obviously get yourself some compensation or something. Hopefully it's just books. But all the same, this is usually this is gonna be for what I said were the Uncobius, not necessarily going to be for the Ascari. For the Ascari, just never forgive them. Okay, never forgive. Never forgive Ascari. Like, don't even deal with them. Don't even engage with them. These are people who will betray you, who are traitors. Don't even detain them in any sort of way. But let's go. So this is 71. So this is not the greatest master can go even one step for a disciple. The disciple must experience each stage of a developing consciousness, therefore knowing nothing that is not right. Okay? So here's the thing with let me see if that was the last one. No. Okay, so not the greatest master can go even one step for a disciple. Right? So this is the thing with real life, is that you can't teach anybody. Okay? Everybody has to experience something according to their own developing consciousness. They learn based off of their own consciousness developing towards it. You can't teach them. Okay? This is an ancient proverb. You can't teach somebody else. So they'll only know what they're right to know. It's like you know, I have a young kid, right? I can't go ahead and teach him calculus before he knows addition and multiplication. You know what I'm saying? Before he knows arithmetic, I can't really go teach him calculus. You know? But before I teach him chemistry, I can't. Before I teach him chemistry, I gotta teach him, you know, definitions and you know, I gotta teach him. You gotta be right for it. So that's part of what it is. You have to, when you're trying to engage other people, you have to figure out where their consciousness is and what are they ready for. You know, what are they ready for? And this is why we go through this program that I'm inviting you to go through, because what I do is that what the program is designed in such a way that what you're right for is what you're going to get. You know, you're not right for like a lot of people. That's why I say too that like we talking about, oh, we want to build and we want to do this stuff. You might not necessarily be right to build with each other. You know, sometimes you engage with somebody, they seem cool, they seem blah blah blah, and then you realize there's something wrong with them. You know, and it's like it's a good thing you didn't get too far with them. You understand? It's a good thing you didn't get too far with them. It's a good thing you didn't put, you know, 10 grand on them. You know what I mean? It's a good thing. A lot of people, you realize they're just not there. You know? It might be a good idea for, you know, 5 people to get together and put 10 grand together, right? But if you don't know those other 4 people, right? You just lost 10 grand for nothing. You understand? And of course, you know, a lot of you not talking about no 10 grand, so that's why y'all saying anything. But the world is really about resources and resource management. So you got to talk resources, talk numbers. You know, trade is something that's real and profitable, not imaginary and descriptive. It's I'm putting 10 grand on it. I'm putting 30 grand on it. You understand? Talk like that. You know? And you don't got to be that much. You can say, I'm putting 5 grand on it. I'm putting 2 grand on it. I'm putting $300 on it. You know? I'm putting $100 on it. Whatever it is that you comfortable with, you got to realize that if you put $100 in the wrong place, you done lost $100 for nothing. And you could have got something with that. You know, in New York, you could have got a sandwich. You know, because New York, you prices them up. Nah, I'm joking. Alright, so let's say 72. So true teaching is not an accumulation of knowledge. It is awakening of consciousness which goes through successive stages. So let me see if that was the last one. No, it wasn't. Alright, so you already understand what this means. True teaching, this is basically the same one before. You know, true teaching is not an accumulation of knowledge, but instead an awakening of each stage. So again, Ancobia is the last stage of consciousness. Okay? You gotta get to the Ancobia stage. A lot of our people are not there. A lot of people are astute. A lot of people are activists. A lot of our people are Scotty. Okay? You want to get to the stage of consciousness that is Ancobia. And that's it's not from an accumulation of knowledge. Because a lot of us are going through an accumulation of knowledge. No, you have to awaken your consciousness towards this path of focus. You understand? A focus, so that we can actually do that. Because again, if I'm focused on building my wealth, and you focus on complaining about how, you know, like for instance, I'll give you an example. I saw this one tweet. I saw this one person saying, like one person, they work for Amazon, so they're like, I can't believe I was wearing this mask and blah blah blah, and then somebody sitting at home unemployed and they getting this much money, right? And then somebody says, why are you mad at the people who are unemployed when the richest person in the world is underpaying you? And the thing is this, you're not getting underpaid just because this person is the richest person in the world. Is it? Like if you're working if you're doing the same work for a rich person as you would do for another person, then they're gonna pay you the same amount. You understand? Just because this person's business model is much more profitable, doesn't mean that you're doing more work than the next person. You understand? But the person who's, and of course, I saw somebody say, exactly, we're always mad at the wrong people, blah, blah, blah. So the reason why I bring that up is to say this, that kind of consciousness where we are just, trying to vilify people who are blah, blah, that got nothing to do with nothing. That got nothing to do with nothing. What you have to focus on is just, so somebody like that might be like, oh, well, yeah, I'm not really about working or nothing. I'm really about blah, blah. No, I need people who are about getting that wealth together. So about organizing that wealth together. Okay? And when you're about organizing that wealth together, that's where I want you. Because a lot of people, like I said, accumulation of knowledge, these people could be brilliant. They could be wise. They could be, they could know a lot of stuff. A lot of them got more books than I do. Accumulated knowledge. But their consciousness is going in the wrong direction because the consciousness is not towards self-development, but instead towards the complaining about other people. Like I just saw this other brother's bookshelf. Bookshelf is just, this book on slavery, and this book on lynching, and this book on the communist, manifesto, and this book on socialism, and this book on this genocide, and this book on these riots, on this book on, like all these books on how you were victimized. And of course, when you engage this person, all they talk about is, oh man, we were so victimized. You understand? That's not the consciousness you need to have. The consciousness you need to have, because it's not to say that you have not been, or that some of our people in the past have not been targeted, because all people in the past have been targeted, particularly when you're dealing with Wazungu, right? But it's about what can you do, how can you organize into the future. How can you organize into the future? So that's really what it's about. And hopefully, I think this might be the last one. Hold on, let me see. Yeah. So it's gonna go. If one tries to navigate, so this is page 73, right? So you have the book. Like I said, you could download the book right there. It's right in front of you in the description, right? So if one tries to navigate unknown waters, one runs the risk of shipwreck. Okay? So if you try to navigate unknown waters, you run the risk of shipwreck. And that's actually what happened to me, Like I said, you go into the stock market, and you're feeling sweet, you're feeling yourself, you make some gains, right? And then you say, you just kind of like just blindly buy another property, buy another stock, if you will, right? Stock is property, though, okay? So you just buy another property, and then you wasn't really paying attention, and that thing sink, and so you lose. Now, unless you sell or until you sell, you don't really lose nothing. But if you do sell, you lost something, and if you put a lot of money, you lose a lot of money. Period. If you lose 10% or 20% of a big number, it's still a big number, right? But that's the point. It's like you run the risk of shipwreck when you don't engage something. So it's like when you don't know what you're dealing with. So again, in this world, when you talk about discipline, that's about confidence, that's about confidence, and that's about consequence. There's a consequence for going out into the sea just willy-nilly. Not bringing a map, not knowing where the icebergs are, not knowing where the water's active, not knowing any of that stuff. There are consequences to ignorance. And the reality is that, and this is why a lot of people, that's why I say, with regard to that person working at that store, the guy's not necessarily underpaying you, because he gives you the security of regular payments. You're not really taking no risk you're taking a risk by, dealing with this virus, obviously, this pandemic. That's about it. But you're not dealing with no financial risk, because if you show up for this many hours, you'll get this much money. You understand? When I go into the stock market thing, I don't know how much I'm getting out. I don't know if I'm not going to lose. You understand? I'm taking a risk. So yeah, I might get paid more if I do this way. Right? I'm not going to get paid no minimum wage. I'm not going to get paid I could, but I could lose a lot more too. That's running the risk. You have to, if you're not running the risk, right? If you're not, because even if you know the waters, like even if you know this market, it still could dip. Even if you know the market, you still could sell before you're supposed to sell it. You understand? Like I was noticing that. That's part of why I even jumped into it, because I was like, oh snap, I sold it at this much, when it flew up this way. It flew up to this high. That means I sold a little early. I lost a whole bunch of money from just selling early. Well, I didn't lose the money, but I could have had more money if I just waited. But I don't know. That's called running your own risk. But that's the world, So even if every time you go out to swim, every time you go out to navigate, you run a risk. Even Wazungu, when they come to capture you, they run a risk. A lot of them died, but of course you don't. I mean, nobody cares about that. But that's just the way the world is. If you want to stay in a secure little bubble, sure, you can stay in a secure little bubble. You can work your little 9 to 5, and you could whatever. But obviously you're probably not going to be rich from that. Unless somebody's really charitable, or unless you're really doing something important. But anyway, that's all I could say. I'm glad that you stuck with me. That was the end of this book. Obviously, I didn't do any of these stuff. I was going to do relationship questions, but this is the other Pan-African Wisdom series. But Pan-African Wisdom series is not really selling, so I'm not really interested in writing and compiling it if it's not really selling. But you could try to buy it if you want, or you could just download it for free. Click on the description below. But otherwise, thanks so much for listening. Drop some likes. I don't see any comments, so we're just gonna leave it like that. But thank you so much for listening, and of course, Shemi Htp. And of course, if you want me to do some music every time I start this thing, let me know. I don't know if I'm the best musician, but I can give it a go. But all right, Shemi Htp. Deuces.